Starting one more time. So today is Malachim Beis, Perek. Today is December 17th, third day of Hanukkah, and today's a major day. Like we said, today's the birthday of Ari Learworth Shlita. Okay, let's get started. Perek, here we go. So now, Yeshaya gave a tremendous busha to Hashem. He basically mevaz Hashem, and he made fun of Chizkiyahu. They said that Yerushalayim is going to fall, and why did we think that we're better than any other nation in the world? And because already Sancheriv is already capturing the whole world, and it's pretty much up to Yerushalayim. So now, so Yeshaya he said, why do you think he gave tremendous psychological warfare to try to lower the morale of the people? He made a big announcement by the wall of the city, and he said, don't listen to Chizkiyahu. Chizkiyahu is giving you like these ideas that are not going to happen. He says it's over. It's over. So now what happens is the three messengers of Chizkiyahu, because Chizkiyahu himself didn't come, so he sent three messengers. The three messengers was Chizkiyahu and Shivna and Yochaz. They went ahead and they told over what he said to the Melech, to Chizkiyahu. Okay, so that's where the Perek starts today. It was when Chizkiyahu gets the message. Chizkiyahu gets so what's the first thing he does? He gets this horrible news, and he hears that Sancheriv is on the way to Yerushalayim, and basically the first thing he does he does kriya. Why did the kriya? Either because he got the serious ra, or because Yeshaya, who was a yid, was mevaz Hashem, so that's why the chiv of kriya. Whatever it was. It wasn't good times. What was the first thing he did with Yom Hashem? He goes to the base of Mikdash. Why? To daven. That's what Hashem say. Also, right now the covenant Hashem was lowered, so he went to base of Mikdash in order to show honor to Hashem. Whatever it is, he went to base of Mikdash. Now, he went. He sent a message to So now, these two people went to Yeshaya Navi, who was a Navi at the time, and to ask him, what do we do? In other words, you could go ahead and you could give these great speeches, but what does Hashem want? So they go to Navi, they go to Yeshaya Navi. And they said that Chizkiyahu said today is a day of a horrible day of Atech and B'zoyim for Hashem. Why keep manim ad b'shaber be'in. It's almost like Klal Yisrael is given a metaphor. It's like Klal Yisrael it came to give birth, and they're on the birthing stool, but they have no strength to give birth. In other words, Klal Yisrael is in a tremendous pain, and they don't have koyach anymore. There's almost no help for Klal Yisrael. So what do we do? So they ask Yeshaya knows what to do. He says, Ula Yishma. This next pasuk is a little hard to read. It says, Ula Yishma Hashem Lekecha is Divrei Shakam Asher Shalcha Melech Asher Adonav L'Charif L'Kim Chai L'Chich B'Dvarim Asher Shama Hashem Lekecha. So in other words, what he's saying is like this. He says maybe, perhaps Hashem will listen to words of Yeshaya and that Melech Asher sent to mevaz Hashem. In other words, perhaps what he's saying maybe is true because Yeshaya said earlier. He said I'm saying over Nevuah from Yeshaya. He says I'm saying Nevuah that Yehuda is going to fall in the hands of Sancheriv. So he's saying is maybe Hashem will listen to the words. In other words, maybe it's going to come true and like the way he teaches, he brought proof to the words. He said it's a nevuah. Asher shama Hashem lekecha. You look Rashi. Rashi doesn't learn so much like this. But not tefillah ba'at sheres nimsa. And maybe what? And maybe you could give some sort of tefillah, some sort of maybe Yeshaya or something. You could say something for the remnants of Yisrael. In other words, that is still alive. In other words, the Yehuda is still a little bit left. The rest of started shvatim already in Golas. So maybe you could do something for the rest of Klal Yisrael and ask Yeshaya what to do. Now. They sent servants again to Yeshaya. So the question is why? So the Chizkiyahu learns up shot that what happened was first Yeshaya sent messages. First Chizkiyahu sent messages to Yeshaya, but didn't come back. So he got nervous, like what's taking so long? So he sent the second set of messages. Okay, maybe that's the shot. Pasuk above. Now, v'yomer lahem Yeshaya. So Yeshaya Navi said, you should tell your Chizkiyahu, in other words, Amar Hashem. That Kadosh Baruch Hu gave a nevuah. He says, don't listen to the words of Yeshaya and all this psychological warfare. It's okay. I should get for him denari melech Asher and all that's words that of Zion that he spoke against me. And he said more. He said, Hashem is going to give a desire for Yeshaya to leave. The Faltiya b'cher be'atzay. Part of the nevuah is that Rashake, he's the one who gave the big speech brief earlier. Hashem is going to make it that something's going to happen, and he's going to have to leave this like kind of very siege that's happening, and he's going to go back to his land, go back to Asher, and Asher is going to die. So don't worry. Not only you have to worry, Rashake himself is going to die. Okay, pasuk test. V'yasher Rashake. So now it's interesting what happens. I'll just tell you outside, then we'll do it inside. So basically, Sancheriv made his army in the area of Lachish, which is Eretz Yisrael, because he went ahead and he got rid of the Tzach Shvatim. So he made some sort of like capital type of thing in the area of Lachish. Now, who was there? So Sancheriv, they're all hanging out over there. Now, all of a sudden, Sancheriv gets a message that he got that an Asher they got attacked from in the area of Livna, or Livna attacked and Cush attacked and Terhaka attacked. They attacked over there. So what happens is Sancheriv leaves Lachish and he goes to Ashur. And when Rashaka comes there, he sees that they're gone. Then they also go over there. Basically, you following? Basically, what's happening is when Rashaka comes to Lachish, that area, he sees everyone's gone because another war broke out, and therefore he's forced to retreat from the area of going to Yerushalayim. And that's kind of like pasuk chas and pasuk tas. But Yashar Rashaka now, what?
A little delay.
Oh, very good. He's a delay, and then he's going to send a message that says, "Don't think I'm retreating so fast." We'll see in a second. That's ready to pasuk Yud and Yalaf. Okay, so let's go pasuk chas. Yashar Rashaka returned, and he goes to the area of Lachish. He sees that the Melech Ashur, Sancheriv, went ahead and he left because he had to deal with a war in Livna. Because he heard that they left Lachish. Again, why did they leave Lachish? Because they had to go to Livna. Now, Livna is near Cush. Let's understand that. And he also heard, it's saying further, Sancheriv heard al Terhaka Melech Cush, that Terhaka, the king of Cush, Lema, he said, Hine Yatsi Lachem Itach, that they have gone out to make war against me, and Yashav. Okay, period. So therefore, Sancheriv left Lachish, and therefore Rashaka left Lachish, and they all left, and basically they made it easier now. In other words, Yerushalayim now is not under such a siege. It's good times again. They're able to relax a little bit, and now why did Hashem do this? I'll just explain to you. So the way the Radak learns, Hashem knew already. There was a nevuah that from Yeshaya that we just said that don't worry, what's going to happen? What's the end of the story is going to happen is the entire army of Sancheriv is going to die. The entire army, 185,000 people, maybe more, all going to die. Now Hashem wanted them to have wealth when they die, so Klal Yisrael should get rich. So first Hashem made them get into wars with Mitzrayim and get into wars with Put. We'll see Rashi brings down different countries. In order that Klal Yisrael should get rich, and then later on the whole army of Sancheriv dies, and therefore Klal Yisrael will be very wealthy. Anyways, that's why this war happens in between. Anyways, now when Sancheriv leaves it, right? Who's exiled? No, Yehuda. The people of Yehuda are right. Right. Okay, good. Fine. Now, pasuk test end of the pasuk. So before Sancheriv leaves, he sends a message. He sends a letter, and the letter he writes to Chizkiyahu. What does he say? He says, in other words, don't think I'm leaving so fast. I'm not retreating. That's basically what the letter is. He says, here's the message for Chizkiyahu. Don't let your God Hashem delude you and think Lamar that the Yerushalayim will not be given to me. Beyond Melech Asher. It's not going to happen. It will happen. You heard You heard what all that Asher me did. All the other kings fell, and you Yerushalayim, you're going to be saved. Hatzilu I saw that all the other nations of the world got saved. No, they all got destroyed. As Goizin, as Charan, Retzef, as Bnei Eden, all these fell. As Talasa, as Alasar, they all fell. And you think you Chizkiyahu think Yerushalayim is going to be saved? There's no chance. It says, Malachim Chizkiyahu. They sent the message to Chizkiyahu. So you're saying maybe Shaka. I think Mefarshim say Sancheriv. 1 second. That doesn't say. Okay. And by Bazi Gimel, Ayoy Melech Hamas, Melech Arfa, Melech La'ir, Vesafavanim, Behena, Ve'iva. Where are all these kings? They're all gone. And you think, the letter says that you think that you're going to be survive. You're not going to survive. You're all going to be gone, and there's no chance. Now, why is he saying this now? Because he's leaving. So he's leaving just to deal with another war. So he wants to just give his final message that, I'm back. I'm coming back. Fine. Plus, you down. What does he do? Chizkiyahu, when he gets the letter, but you got Chizkiyahu. What? But you got Chizkiyahu Svarim. He takes this letter beyond Malachim from the messengers, but Yikraim, and he reads it. Where? Yam Beis Hashem, Yeshaya Chizkiyahu from Hashem. So he takes this letter that says this psychological warfare letter from Sancheriv, which I believe is from Sancheriv, and he takes it and he spreads it out in the Beis Hamikdash. He puts it out. He spreads the letter out. Okay. And what does he do? The next few psukim is the tefillah. He says he spal Chizkiyahu l'fnei Hashem. He takes his letter of Sancheriv and he dabs that and he puts it out and he makes a tefillah. Hashem Elkei Yisrael Yesh Kruv Hashem. You who dwell between the Kruv Ata who Elikim Ladecha. You're the one, the king of the world. You made the Shemaim V'aretz. You should listen. Shema b'kacha enecha re'ei. The Shemata divrei Sancheriv. The Shemata asher sholchai l'charev elikim chai. You should listen to the words of Sancheriv. Who look what he's doing. He's been vaz Hashem. And he says, "Baita v'amlam Hashem achrivay malch Ashur as a guy mashatim." And Hashem, he's the. It's true, Hashem, in other words, that the kings of Ashur, they destroyed all the nations of the world. But, Nasul Elohim Be'esh, and he put all that Getchkiz in the Avodah Zarah. Ki loy Elohim, Hema. Then they're not Hashem. Ki Maisei Yidayodam, Be'etz Evan, Vayavivdom. In other words, the reason why you have to destroy them, because they're Getchkiz and made out of wood and fire and wood and stone, and they're nothing. But Ata, Hashem Elokeinu, Shi'einu, no, B'yaliyot, save us from Sancheriv. We do come in order. Why should you save us? Not because you don't want to die. You should do it because everyone should know Ki Ata Hashem Elikim Adecha. For Kiddush Hashem, you should know that you Hashem is the only one, and that's the reason why you should save us. Okay, so that's the tefillah that Chizkiyahu Melech says in the Beis Hamikdash in front of this letter that he got from Sancheriv, and he makes this whole tefillah. Pasuk Chav. So now the Navi Yeshaya comes up. Yishach Yeshayahu ben Amos Chizkiyahu Leimar. So he says in the Nevuah, he says, Kayama Hashem Elkei Yisrael. Hashem Spalati like this regarding this day you daven in the Beis Hamikdash Al Sancheriv Melech Ashur Shemati. So Hashem says in the Nevuah, Yeshaya, that I listened and I heard the tefillah and I took note. In other words, I got it. I heard it. Okay, Pasuk Half. And this day, now we're going to say something like poetic Nevuah. It's just going to say, Hashem is kind of going to respond about what Sancheriv said. This that he has spoken. Baza la'agal l'cha, that Sancheriv, in other words, has despised and is mocked Hashem. Is besul bat Sion. It's like the virgin, the pure of the daughter of Sion. Acharecha roish hinia. She's shaking her head. Basi Yerushalayim. As mi charafta v'gedafta. Who is the one that you insulted? In other words, the Nevuah is saying that you, Sancheriv, you insulted me, Hashem. Hashem is saying Nevuah to Sancheriv, and it's saying that's me, Harmais Hakol. Who you raise your voice against? Vatisa Morei Meinecha. You lift your eyes. Hakadosh Yisrael against the one and only Yisrael. Biyadam Malachacha charafta Hashem. Through the messages you insulted Hashem. He said with a lot of chariots. Ani Alisa Marim Harim. I'm going to go up to the Har Bayis. Rashi learns and the Yarkei Levanai and to the end of the Levanai, which means the Beis Hamikdash. Rashi says, yeah, because Beis Hamikdash is a place where it's called Levanai because it's a place that's a Malba Levanas. It cleans out various. Whatever. Basically, it's saying this Nevuah that about Sancheriv, of what Sancheriv is saying against Hashem. The Echra is Kaima Rozav, and you're saying you cut down the tall cedar trees, the Charav, and the cypress and the chosen cypress trees of Ava, Avaya, Viloi Kitza, and you come to the remote lodge, v'yar, karmeloi, and come to the fruitful forest. In other words, Eretz Yisrael, which is a fruitful place. We actually learned, yeah. Milas Artza Yofi Hadra is the place, the land that's beauty and it's splendorous. Paschav down. Vani Ani Karti Hashtisi Mayim Zarim, and I dug and I drank strange water. Va'archiv Kaf Pamoy, and I dry up the soles of my feet. Kol Yari Matzar, all the rivers and the seas. Again, it's a poetic understanding of explanation of what Sancheriv is saying against Hashem, and we're going to see in a minute the response. And the way Rashi lives it says that have you not heard from afar? In other words, you can't take credit for you Sancheriv for this. It's already in the nevuah from Yeshaya that this is going to happen. That the Yehuda is going to fall in the hands of Sancheriv. Asisi, I'm the one who does this. With me, Kedem, Sarta, V'Yitzatia, Ata, Avesia, V'Tihi, V'Hechshais, and in other words, I'm going to bring that Yerushalayim should be desolate. Galin, Nitzim, Urim, Mitzurais, and the blasphemy hills and the far and the fortified cities are going to become desolate. The thing is, the nevuah is true, but the nevuah is not really from now. The nevuah be'etzim is I think it's referring to Chavis Midrash, because now it's not referring to that. The way of Shaka and the way Sancheriv Taichid means now, and therefore they are learning that the Yehuda is going to fall. But Hashem is saying these are not things that you can take credit for. The Yeshvei Kitzvei Yod and the people that live there are those are not going to have strength. Tachshu v'yeshu, and they're going to be crushed and be ashamed. Hayu Esav Sada, they're going to be like the grass of the field. V'yirak Desha Chatzig Ganois. Should they fall if they could? But they're gonna be like the wind blast before in other words, it's gonna be like pushed over through the wind before a standing grain. In other words, they're gonna be knocked over. The opposite. They're gonna be destroyed. And you're sitting and you're going out. In other words, I know. This day you did against me. Because you rage, in other words, because you, and now Hashem is kind of responding. He says, because you did this and you made this whole thing against me, because of that, your tumult has ascended to my ears. I'm going to place my ring in your nose, and a bit in your lips. In other words, and I put a bit in your mouth. In other words, Hashem is saying to Sancheriv, I'm going to now lead you. I'm like an animal. You want to lead. You put a bit in his mouth and something in his nose, and he kind of could direct it. And he said, in other words, I'm going to take charge. And the nevuah basically saying that Sancheriv is going to fall. That's the way the shot of the nevuah. Because you went Vaza Hashem and you made fun, I'm really in control. I'm going to take care of it. Now Paschav Tess says, now Rashi learns. Now we're talking to Chizkiyahu, the Navi, and we're saying, how do you know this is going to happen? Because you're going to see the following. In the next 3 years, you're going to see the following. You're going to say, this year, the way you know the nevuah is true and you see it's happening is the first year you're going to eat things that grow by itself, because the way you're going to live the next few years, right now, you're going to live through, like mushroom things that grow by themselves without anything, they just grow from the ground. Okay? And the second year, B'Shana Shenis, Sachish, you're going to have they're gonna have things that just started growing. They have like the tree stumps, like the things that just grow right away. In the third year already, Yisro Kitzru, there's gonna be a tremendous amount of harvest of a nut to crumb and you're gonna have enough fruit that it'll be a regular crop. You have to eat from it. So in other words, Yerushalayim is gonna sprout. Okay, fine. Now that's how you know that this nevuah is true, and that's the ice. Okay, that's the ice. V'yasavta fleitas based Yehuda and Nishra, and the remaining people have left the Yehuda Sharish Lamata will continue to take root, and they're going to multiply. Now, Klal Yisrael is going to start to grow. V'asa pri lamala, and they'll continue to produce, and they'll produce fruits from above. What does that mean? So, I said like this: since Sancheriv was Vaz Hashem, and he said that Klal Yisrael is going to fall apart and Klal Yisrael is going to end. And it's going to all be over. So Hashem is saying the opposite. I'm going to make Yerushalayim now grow. I'm going to make it everything start to regrow, the rebirth of Yerushalayim, and not only and the food is also going to be Klal Yisrael himself. So just like the food is going to multiply and grow, so too the people, and the Klal Yisrael is going to start to take root again. Ki Yerushalayim, Teitzei Sheres Ufleitam Hartzion Kinas Hashem Tzavakos Tasazos, and Yerushalayim will become a place where everyone's going to start to regrow from Hartzion, And why is all true? Not because of our chosim. It's because it's zealousness of Hashem that you go ahead and Mavaz Hashem. Hashem is showing no, you got it all wrong, and that's the reason why it's not in your chus. I think Rashi says there. Shekanachayt shemayim loyiz chus loyiz sheyesh chus biyadchem ki harbe Yoshia achaz avicha. Right, because we did a very. So it wasn't our chus. It was a chus because Kiddush Hashem. Fine. So now is the poetry's over. Now we'll just go back to the regular story. So Hashem Amelch Asher. So therefore Hashem said, tell him that about Melch Asher la yovoy ala ir azois. You'll see, Asher will not conquer Yerushalayim. It won't come into the city. La yorech shem ches. Now one arrow will be shot for leikamen and mogain, and no will advance with their shields. And there won't even be a ramp to go up over the wall. Even nothing's gonna happen. You'll see, nothing's gonna happen. It was so you couldn't even believe this what he's saying, because we're talking about the biggest army in the world, who conquered the world. Sancheriv already Kamat, it was like rolling the whole world, like almost like Shlomo HaMelech, ruled the whole world. And his last thing was Yerushalayim. We'll get in a minute how big the army was. We'll have to see Pshat in the pasuk, but we're talking about either 185,000 or Rashi learns 185,000. It's just those are the Rashi matas. Those are Rashi Giyasais, which and according to the Gemara, there's 2,000 in each of them. So if you learn like Rashi in the Gemara, based on the Gemara, it comes out to was 370 million people. We'll get to that. Hold on, I'm kind of skipping. Okay, and then what happens? Hashem says, "But derech Hashem yavoi ba yashuv." The way you Sancheriv came, the way you return al ir azais lo yavoi yidom Hashem. You're not going to come to the city. You're not getting there. Now, the guy knows see al ir azais, and I'm going to protect the city. Vashia l'manoi. I'm going to save it for my sake. L'man David Avdi, like Hashem promised David, that David will always have continuity, and it will be continuing of Malachim Beis David. What happened that night? The big night. When it was, the Gemara brings down, it was the night of Pesach. The night of Pesach, what happens? Malach Hashem comes out, the Yach, the Machna Asher, and went ahead and killed. This is first we'll do the budget of the pasuk. Killed the camp of Asher. Umeya Shmoinim Chamishim Elef, and 185,000 people were killed, which is the whole entire army of Sancheriv, while they were sleeping. And when they arose, who's they? So the Gemara says that Berachah learns that just 5 people survived. Just 5 people of the entire army survived. We'll see in a minute who. Hine kulam begarim mesim, and the entire camp was all corpses. Okay, what happened? Gemara says the entire army dies, and who was left over? 5 people. It was Sancheriv, his 2 sons, Buchanetza, and it was Rabin. Those are 5 people left. What's the backstory? There's a lot of backstories here. I'm going to try to do a couple of them in the next few minutes. First of all, what was Sancheriv wanted to go ahead straight to Yerushalayim. He was really excited about it. Then he said, the Stargazer told him that he has one day to go capture Yerushalayim, and if not, he's not going to win. So that night he was in the area of Noiv, and he was getting towards Yerushalayim, and he says, what's the rush? Yerushalayim is the easiest city to conquer. I'll wait till the morning. In the morning we'll do it. And then he looks over the wall. He built some sort of mound. He looks up and he sees Yerushalayim. He's like, it looks so simple. Like this is easy capture. He says, tomorrow you'll bring me pieces of the wall. You'll see, it'll be no big deal. And then what happens is, but what happens is, that night they went to sleep. They have the whole wall, right. Okay. Now Sancheriv also saw that he was having tremendous atzlacha, because he saw that he started traveling, and a trip that took 10 days he did in 1 day. So he said, Hashem is on my side. I see Hashem wants me to do this. Right. Everything's going well. Okay. Now the Gemara says, but this interesting Gemara says that when they died, then the Neshama got killed. Hashem, the Malach comes and killed the Neshama, and then the whole body died inside. Why? Now that the clothing remained the way it was. Why? Because Gemara says that Sancheriv's army was from shame, and we know shame covered his father, covered Nach. So because of that, and that's close, that all that clothing remained intact. It was almost like they got paid back. Okay, let's just go weiter. Okay, so the entire army dies. Now, how many people in the army? So Rashi says, let's just go. Rashi says that when he came back, it was Rashi says Kulam Roshei Giyasai. So the 185,000, and 185,000 was the heads of the Giyasais, which the people in charge. So based on the Gemara in Sanhedrin, you have 185,000, and the 2,000 were in each battalion. So it comes out that you have, if you figure out that, it comes out you have 2,000 times 185,000, which is, like I said before, 370 million people, which is kind of a lot. Now, what does he do? So he leaves and he goes to Nineveh. Okay. Now what happened? So the Gemara says like this. The Gemara says that he wakes up and his whole army's gone. He's nothing left. So the people told him, they're like, well, it's in the people. The Gemara says it was a Malach dressed up like an old man. And he went over to Sancheriv and says, are you not like embarrassed? Like your whole army's gone. Like, what do you tell the people? He's like, I was thinking, you're right. So the Malach told him, he's like, you know what you should do? You shave your head. Shave your head, get a scissors, shave your head, and look different. That's a very good strategy. Okay. I remember when there was a shooting in Raintree, so one of the witnesses, he didn't want to testify, so he said, the next day he looked like a different person. He literally shaved his head, took a whole makeover. He's scared of his life to testify in a murder trial. Yeah. Anyways, what happened? So the Gemara says that the Malach told him that he should. The Malach said that he has to look different. So he told the Malach, it's a good idea, but I need scissors. I need this. He's like, oh no, next door you can get scissors. So the Gemara says that there was a house next door of Malachim, and they may believe they're regular people, and he goes and knocks on the door, Sancheriv, and these Malachim were sitting and they were pressing figs. They were grinding up figs. They were doing this whole, I don't know. So Sancheriv knocks on the door and he says, I need scissors. They're like, oh, you want scissors? You gotta work for it. So Sancheriv now, he's sitting there, the Melech of the whole army, he's sitting there grinding figs to get the scissors. So he's sitting there, he's grinding these figs. Hashem wanted him to vazis Sancheriv before he dies. So he went ahead and he's sitting there grinding. Finally, he gets the scissors. He's a little excited, but it's dark already. So he has this little lantern, and he goes outside with his lantern, and he's looking to try to find, the barber, the Malach, and somehow his all of a sudden the lantern, his beard catches fire. So not only loses all his hair, now his beard goes on fire. And Sancheriv is really embarrassed, and okay, so what does he do? Sancheriv goes now, and he sees a piece of wood from the teva. He says, very interesting. I see. So he asked the people. He's like, why was Kleisel so zeicha to such a Yeshua? He said, you know why? Because they had that something called Akedah, and they brought by the Akedah, Yitzchak by the Akedah. So he says, you know what? I want to do that. I have two sons. I want to be my sons. I want to be them as a carbon. So that's the next pasuk. So the pasuk lam is zayin. Base Nirsach Elihav. Sancheriv went to bow down in the temple of his gods. But the Melech Sharatza Banav he killed B'charv. They went and they killed him because his two kids got the word that they wanted that Sancheriv wanted to kill them. They're not killing me by the carbon, and they went ahead and they killed him. So that was the end of Sancheriv. Sancheriv got killed by his own sons. He wasn't zeich that the Malach should go kill him. He had to be killed in embarrassment. His own son should kill him. So V'heim niltu eretz ba'arat, and as soon as they killed him, they ran away to somewhere in Turkey. V'yimloich aser chadai b'nai tachos, and then his children chadai b'nai he took over, and he what? And they took over. The Gemara says that Chizkiyahu was such a good melech he could have been Mashiach. And the Gemara says that. Oh, okay, but I'm going to the Shita that is not Mashiach. So, and the Gemara says that 185,000 people could have been Muhammad's Gog and Magog. It's very, very similar characteristics. So why was it? The Gemara says because he didn't sing Shira. If he would have sang Shira, then it would have been the Geula. Now, why didn't he sing Shira? So there's a few reasons why. But one reason why it brings down, but the Mepharshim bring down, because he was so distraught over the story of the Asar Shashua going to Golas that he couldn't sing Shira. Because he had to sing Shira B'Tach Av and B'Tach Simcha, and he couldn't do that. What else?
Rebbe, is that where it was the Teva of Nach?
Oh, it's interesting.
The Teva of Nach was Arat.
Oh, very interesting. Right. Rabbi said a good shot because the pasuk says, he said they ran away and they fled to Arat. So it could be, but the problem is they went to Arat because they're getting killed because of the story of the Teva. So I don't know how that really fits in the pasuk. Because he saw. It seems like they saw wood from the Teva. Let's see where it is. Where is it? Feel right over here. They saw a piece of wood and like, oh, what's that from the Teva? I'll tell you what, he made Avodah Zarah out of everything. So he wanted to make Avodah Zarah out of that wood. Yeah.
When you make it into
if there was a time, that's what they did. It's actually 8 hour drive from Istanbul. But I'll tell you, the Gemara says Chizkiyahu was such a great time in the times of Chizkiyahu that there was so much Torah in the world that we know that Chizkiyahu put a sword in the ground. He said anyone who doesn't know the whole Torah Kula, right, is be killed by the sword. And they checked from Don Abad Sheva. They said everyone knew, even the Chazayim. We knew that the time of Chizkiyahu it was times of tremendous amount of Torah. Anyways, I think we'll stop here. Tomorrow we have Perek Chaf, Yeshaya, Kol Tov. Have a nice day. Happy birthday,